The first step with any good barbecue or braise, especially with this, is a good rub. We're gonna come up with one. Oh, by the way, pork belly. Got this from my butcher. You've got a butcher, right? Do you know his name? I know my butcher's name. His name's Dennis. He's the one who cut this for me and wrapped it up all pretty for me. First thing we're gonna do, again, a rub. Spice grinder? Well, I call it a spice grinder. You call it a coffee mill. I got a very basic one. I'm not gonna throw the whole kitchen sink or the whole spice cabinet into it. We're gonna be something fairly simple. First thing we're gonna start off with brown sugar. This is a cup. Ginger, pork go very well. This is a tablespoon of ground ginger. I know, I overuse this, but it's so good. This is about, hold on, let me measure. Third of a cup. This is gonna have a little spice to it, but it'll be okay. Now remember, a lot of this rub we're gonna be washing off in the next step. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to give any spoilers. So, into the spice mill. Star anise. Now these have been already toasted off. You know how to do that. I did that a few episodes ago. To hand wave you through it, big heavy pan, over the heat, these till they start smelling fragrant. Take the pan off, let it sit in the pan, keep it moving until it cools down. So, coriander. Cumin. It's a tablespoon of coriander, tablespoon of cumin, 2 tablespoons of black pepper. Grind it up. There we go. Toss that in there. Give it a stir. You'll notice I didn't put any salt in there yet. Well, you know my affinity for, if you've watched a few of my episodes, you know my affinity for seasoning the meat. Not necessarily the rub or the marinade or the brine. Well, the brine is going to be seasoned, of course. But I want to make sure that this hits this in the proper proportion. I'm going to unwrap this, get this set up, and we'll rub this up. All right. This is my pork belly. Like I said, got it from my butcher. He cut it up for me, charged me for it. Stuff like, well, he didn't charge me for cutting it. He charged me for the pork belly. So, beautiful piece of meat, fairly well marbled. You know, one of the things you're gonna find in a lot of restaurants, especially the independent restaurants, they're not necessarily gonna be selling bacon in their pork belly. They're going to be selling pork belly itself as the item. And there, like I said, there's a 3-step process. First step we're going to do is a rub. Second step, we're going to wash that off, and then we're going to braise it. Once it's braised, we're going to cool it down, portion it out, and sear it off and glaze it. The glaze, well, I got something special in mind. So, first step. Again, seasoning. We gotta get some salt on here. Don't be too shy with the salt. It's not gonna get too salty. You want a little bit of salt on it though. So while we're at it, I salted this side. Let's get my rub on there. I'm not gonna be shy about this. Oh, you'll also notice I'm doing this on plastic wrap. A little bit easier to clean up that way. Plus, I'm gonna be wrapping it in plastic wrap. Forward left. All right. Again, you don't want to be shy with this. So again, a rub is not rubbed. A rub is patted on. Okay, that side's done. Flip it over on the plastic wrap. Take off one of the gloves. Salt on this side. And again, I'm not going to be shy with this. Spread it all over. And now we're going to wrap this up in the plastic. Oh yeah, these big industrial sized plastic wraps, you can get them at those warehouse membership stores. I've had this one for about 4 years. Still going strong. Okay, that one's on this side. So you want this fairly well wrapped up, but it's gonna leak. No matter how tight you wrap it up, how many layers you put on it, it will leak. So don't worry about that. We've got other plans for that. All right, but the key point is we want contact with this rub. The plastic wrap is gonna hold the rub onto the pork, and in a few hours, about 8 to 10, or well, I'd go 8 hours to 24 hours on this. And I'm planning on 24 hours. So next time you'll see me, I'll have a different shirt on. Also, containment. I said this is gonna leak. No matter how many layers of plastic wrap you put on this, it will leak. And if you don't wanna mess in your refrigerator, put it in a pan. Next time you see me, it'll be tomorrow.
Hey everybody, it's the next day. I'm just prepping up some onions, and yes, that is real speed. Don't try that at home. You could lose a finger that way. So I've got the pork belly, I rinsed it off. We're going to set up for the second step, which is the braise. I like doing my braises at home in my crock pot or my slow cooker. The reason why is because if I've got to go run some errands and no one's in the house but Rex, who is sitting down next to me right now, I don't want to have that oven on. It just, you know, it's old, it's slow. It's getting to the point where I shouldn't be trusting it very much more. This slow cooker, it's brand new. So I'd rather do it in the slow cooker. Use a little bit less electricity. The other thing you notice, I put it in fat side up because I want the fat to render down into the meat itself. Not so important in this type of thing where I'm going to be braising it off, but you know. So first things I got in there. I got garlic, onions. I got about 12 cloves of garlic. I do like my garlic. I've got 3 Arbol chilies. Yes, dry chilies again. This is an Ancho. I'm going to rip the seeds out of it. That's assuming it comes apart. And take the stem off. This one, like I said, they're fairly fresh, so this is kind of leathery. I should have brought out the scissors, but I didn't want to turn my back to you guys again. So I just ripped that into 2 pieces. That's going to give off a lot of flavor as we go. 3-star anise pods. I like that licorice flavor. I think it goes really well with the chilies and the capsicums. For a little bit of acid, I'm going to throw in the juice of 1 lime. Ordinarily, if I was doing like a marinade or something like that, I'd probably throw the lime in there. But this is going to be cooking long and slow, so I don't want to extract any bitterness from the pith, which would happen. So this is about 1.5 ounce piece of ginger. I'm just going to roughly chop this up, well, slice it up, and we'll throw that in there. Ginger and pork go very, very well together. One of my favorite flavor combinations. So liquid-wise, I've got low sodium chicken stock. Yeah, store-bought. I'm okay with that. And let's see, a can of Latrobe's Finest. Yes, beer. The beer is completely optional. If you don't want it, you don't have to put it in there. You could throw in more chicken stock or top it off with water. So I'm barely covering the meat. That's kind of where I want to go. Yeah, braise is a low, shallow cooking. But to tell you the truth, most restaurants, they're going to cover up all the proteins that they're putting in there. So I'm going to throw this into the base. I do like the ones that the slow cookers where the crock comes out and the base is separate. A lot easier for cleaning. So I'm going to set this on high, probably for the first half hour, because I want it to get up to a nice little temperature, and then I'm going to back it down to my medium. So I've got like 3 settings on mine: high, actually low, not medium, and warm. I'm going to set it to low after it gets up to temperature. I'm going to let this go for about 3 to 5 hours, but I'm going to start checking it after about 2. It may be ready after 2. That's when I'm going to start checking it then. So next time you see me, that'll be done.
I'm sorry, I lied. I said that the next time you see me, the braise will be done. It's still going on. It's about 3 hours in. We'll give it another hour. I think it's almost ready, but I just want to give it that little extra time. So, next step, of course, sear and glaze. But before we can do this, one, we'll have to portion it out. We'll have to let it chill. It works best if it is chilled down a little bit. But we gotta make a glaze. One of my favorite glazes for pork belly is a pomegranate molasses. First thing it starts off with is pomegranate juice. Very simple ingredient list on this. Pomegranate juice, lemon juice, about a lemon's worth. Be sure you don't get any seeds in there. Or if you do, fish them out. Touch of salt. 1/4 teaspoon. I like using honey. A lot of other places will use white sugar. I just like the way honey tastes in this and feels like this. And it is my my sweetener of choice. I'm gonna go with about 1/2 cup or so. And that's 16 ounces of the pomegranate juice. And just a little bit more. There we go. Again, I eyeballed this, but I'm gonna keep tasting this as I go. And we'll get this rolling. What I'm gonna do is just let this reduce down to, well, probably about 1/3 to 1/2. And I'll make a nice glaze. A glaze for our pork belly, which is still going. Check back later. Looks like I spoke too soon on the pork belly. It is done. All I did is put a paring knife and kind of skewered it a little bit, and it went through very easily. So we're very good. There's a little bit of resistance, but not enough that I would say that it wasn't done. So I'm gonna pull that and we'll get it refrigerating. Then we'll portion it, sear it off, glaze it, plate it, eat it, finish the video with it, all that fun stuff. I'll go do that now. I'll be back with you in a little bit. All right, I'm down to about a third on that. Still not quite the thickness I want. I could go farther and just go straight reduction, but I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I've got a slurry, teaspoon of arrowroot and a little bit of water. I'm just gonna pour that in and check the thickness. Just a little bit more. I'm gonna let that cook for just a bit. I may add more slurry, may not. Looks like I'm giving it a second dose. There we go. That did it. So that was about a teaspoon and a half of slurry. I used arrowroot primarily because that's what I have. I like it because you don't have to cook the cereal flavor out of it like you would with flour, and to a certain extent cornstarch. It's a purified starch. There's no, really no bad things about it. It comes out crystal clear. We'll just set this off to the side to cool down. I'll be back and we're gonna sear off some pork belly. Hey, just a little garnish for later on. Here's our pork belly. It's almost well set. We're going to portion this out and we'll start searing it off. Nice. I like to go about a ½ inch thick on these. That way it cooks through by the time you get a nice sear. If you go any thicker than that, you may not be cooked in the middle. So let's go about a ½ inch. And I'm going to do 2 of them. These freeze real well. Refrigerate if you choose. All right. Does this need any seasoning? No, it is very well seasoned as it is. Let's turn on my induction cooker. Throw a little bit of olive oil in there. We'll get that hot because we want it to sear up nicely. Now remember, this is going to let off still a little bit of fat. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But it still needs a little fat to get things started. Now when we get to the point where I decide to glaze these, I'm going to be draining off a lot of the fat in this. There. Watch my hands do that. All right, here are the cherries. Since they've been cooking in, soaking in white wine, expect a little bit of a flare up. And we'll throw our glaze in there. We'll get a little decoration on the plate. The reason why you don't want to use the pan glaze is because it will turn rock hard as soon as it hits the plate. All right. Turn off this heat. And put one right here. This one I'm going to cut. And arrange that there. This here. Got our cherries here. And our parsley. There we have it. Okay, so we've got our pomegranate molasses glazed pork belly. It took a while to make this, time-wise, but not really effort-wise. So, you know, it's something you could do these 2-3 days beforehand before you're ready to go. And these will keep fairly well in the freezer and in the refrigerator. So, enjoy. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, like, subscribe, smash all the buttons down there, except for the dislike. And I'll see you next time.